Turn it on. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday night live stream for HBCU 107 week. This evening, we are going to be talking to individuals that have, of course, attended HBCUs, but are working in STEM fields. It's a very exciting night because we have some individuals with some very interesting stories, and the things that they're doing in the STEM field is pretty amazing and pretty impressive. So we're going to be talking to them today. We're also going to be highlighting online programming at HBCUs. A lot of times we have men and women who are interested in pursuing a degree who, for whatever reason, are unable to leave home, or you need the flexibility of an online program. Well, fortunately, more than 1/3 of all HBCUs offer online degree programs. And so if you are interested in attending an HBCU, maybe you live in New Jersey and you don't want to go you can't go anywhere. Maybe you live in Seattle and you need to stay in Seattle. You can attend an HBCU and get your degree, because many of them, as I said, more than 1/3 offer online degree programs. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to highlight a couple tonight. And then you can also go visit the 107's website and find a whole online programs for HBCUs. So again, thank you for joining and kick off our day.
ASU offers 14 certificates and associates, 29 bachelor's, 11 master's, an educational specialist degree, and over 20 fully online programs. Learn more about our dental hygiene program with an on-site clinic, or our business degrees like marketing or accounting. Earn a degree in visual and performing arts, or stay on the cutting edge with a degree in blockchain technology. Visit asurams.edu for more information, and remember, excellence is the standard.
And I must point out that Albany State in Georgia is an HBCU, one of the HBCUs that offers the most programs available online. So if that's something that you're interested in, whether it's an associate's degree program or a bachelor's degree program, they offer a variety of programs online. So Albany State University is a school that you definitely want to check out. We're going to get started with an interview between Spelman alumna Nzinga Toll, who is an engineer, and Spencer Jones, who is a student at Dillard University.
Hello, everyone. Hello. First of all, thank you so much to 107 HBCU for hosting this great HBCU 107 week, and particularly highlighting students in STEM. Thank you all so much. Again, like she said, my name is Spencer Jones, and I'm a third-year urban studies and public policy major attending Dillard University in New Orleans. And I'm hailing from West Memphis, Arkansas. And I have the pleasure of introducing the one and only Miss Nzinga Toll. She is a graduate of the number one, not number two, but the number one HBCU in the country. So, Ms. Toll, can you please just take a moment just to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself?
Sure. Good evening, Spencer. Thank you for that warm introduction. And it's really lovely to be a part of this beautiful experience. My heart's just all aflutter as I see all of the images and all of my HBCU brothers and sisters. So I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm born here in DC. I went to DC public schools. I was born into a family engineering business. Jackson & Toll was co-founded by my dad, who is currently our president and CEO. He is a civil and structural engineer. He went to Hampton. You let him tell it, Hampton's the center of the universe. So he started the firm, started in civil and structural engineering, and then in the mid 80s branched out into aerospace. And now aerospace engineering is primarily what we do. Growing up, the business was always there, and I had a lot of curiosities, and I, thought about all different kinds of careers. But when it came time to go to school, I knew I was going to go to an HBCU. I had a strong math and science background, and I had a proclivity towards it. I was good at it, and I wanted to go far away from home. I went to high school right across the street from Howard. I always tell people if I didn't grow up in DC, I probably would have gone to Howard. So Atlanta was far. I had an older brother who was already at Morehouse, and the dual degree program with the schools in the Atlanta University Center was established primarily with Georgia Tech at the time, but there were other schools in the consortium. So you did your undergraduate degree at Spelman or Morehouse or Clark Atlanta or Morris Brown. And then that was a 3-year program, and then a 2-year program at the Engineering Institution. And I went to Georgia Tech. Many of my classmates went to Georgia Tech. And then you graduated in 5 years with 2 degrees. And so that's the program I did. And my dad was actually got his master's at Georgia Tech. And so he was around and was an advisor when the program was being formed in the late in the early 70s. So I came back to DC to work. And I've been working in the firm Jackson & Toll ever since. We are a kind of a womb to tomb boutique engineering firm. And we have over 30 years of specialized experience in mission operations, in fabrication, in design and development. And so the position I'm in now, I'm working, we're contracting with NASA, and I work on the Hubble Space Telescope. I support the mission operations. It's actually I started at NASA at Hubble when I first graduated in 1990. In the late 90s. And then I went away and worked on a couple of different projects. And then I came back home to Hubble. And so I've been back here for about 3 years in the mission operations.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that. So more often than not, you see a lot of Black students, and particularly HBCU students, try and shy away from STEM related fields because it's too hard and various things. But you are a Black woman that is thriving in this career. And I see there at Jackson & Toll Aerospace, you have 24 plus years of experience. So can you just tell us, like, for HBCU STEM students, what do you do on a daily basis? What is your work like, and what do you do?
Sure. So Hubble is an orbiting satellite. It's the longest, one of the most prestigious one that NASA has. Everyone knows Hubble is famous for its science. And I was a math and mechanical engineering undergraduate major, which I think, I kind of think of mechanical engineering as the liberal arts of engineering, so it can kind of prepare you to do anything. But mission operations, which is the contract I support, is basically you're responsible for making sure that the satellite, in this case, the Hubble Space Telescope, is functioning properly. Right. Like all the different subsystems, there are batteries that charge it and solar arrays that capture solar energy, and then the pointing control system and all the different computers, all the instrument systems that collect all the incredible science that Hubble's famous for. The system engineering team that I'm a part of is responsible for making sure that it's working. Like day to day, we're checking all the stats, making sure it's working. We're looking ahead, looking at trend data, trying to figure out, okay, what are areas that might be trending towards a lower level of functionality? How can we try and correct for that? Or how can we anticipate that? And then if something goes wrong, Hubble's monitored 24/7. So we all get alerts where we have an on-call schedule. If something stops functioning, then we get the alert and we have to go in, do the analysis, figure it out, and get us back up and running. The scientists at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore, those are the people who, like, we see all these cool, like the Crab Nebula and these amazing pictures of Saturn. They capture that data. They do all that analysis. I don't know what a lot of that means. Like, they're just pretty pictures to me too. So they're the ones who are processing the data. The scientists have applied like months in advance to get Hubble to point into one particular place in outer space so they can collect that data. So we have to make sure the telescope is working exactly as it should, pointing at exact right time, so that we can collect the data for them. So we're making sure that that the telescope is functioning, and then if it's not working, we have to get it back up and running as quickly as possible. And we're generally able to do that in between 24 and 72 hours.
Wow, my pre-law mind, you might be making me want to change my major. You've laid that out good and simply for me. So I thank you so much. So kind of a follow-up to the last question. Looking back on your HBCU experience, your time in Spelman there in Atlanta, and all of the things that you experienced, the great professors you had, and the professional development that you had, how do you think that your time at Spelman prepared you for the woman that you are today?
It was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I think that the sciences, particularly the applied sciences, are difficult. that, and there is nothing like being in a space where your presence in and of itself is normalized.
Right.
Everyone expects you to be in your higher level math classes, your physics classes, because you're everyone else there looks just like you.
Right.
So there's nothing exceptional, good or bad, about your presence. And I think that that's a very powerful baseline. Your college years, your prefrontal lobe hadn't finished forming yet. That don't happen until you're in your early 20s. So you still at the tail end of your childhood. So you're
still getting there.
Yeah, you're still getting there. And there's something very powerful about rounding out your formative years in a space where intellectually, academically, culturally, socially, your existence is just normal, right? So whatever is going wrong, it's nothing inherent in the way that you are, right? You have to study, right? You have to form relationships, you have to develop discipline, you have to have attention to material, all those things. But those are all things that you have the capacity to do, right? Because you're in a space like a Spelman College or any of the HBCUs, no matter what course of study you're in, you belong. There's never that's not even a question. And I think that there is something exceptionally powerful about that I didn't fully appreciate until I was till I was at Georgia Tech. And when I'm in spaces, when I was in spaces with other students who didn't have that kind of baseline affirmation, the sense of the questioning that can be really nuanced, but can also really weigh on your time and your energy. It's hard enough to get through the coursework, right? But you want to know that this is where you belong, and you want to have community, right? That's the other thing. One of the biggest things about working in engineering, particularly as you get further along in your career, everything's one big group project, right? You always have to figure out how to negotiate getting deliverables out with teammates, people you have to rely on to produce data or to design projects or to do analysis or to communicate these things. And so having also as part of my formative experience, being in community, both with my peers, other students, and with the professors, that was an extension of the affirmative space, was also really, really powerful. So that, when you get out into the world, sometimes there's a challenge about the quote unquote real world. I tell people all the time, wherever you're alive, it's real, right? And so the idea is you want to, particularly when you're still forming your identity, right? And when you're learning the basics, which is what you're doing in undergrad engineering programs, you want to be in a space that is stable and affirmative. And that's what you got. That's what I got at Spelman. That's what all of my AUC brothers and sisters got at their schools. And that's what I know we get across the board at HBCUs.
I tell people all the time, I would not be the same person if I hadn't gone to an HBCU. I often think, what life would have been had I not come to Dillard. And I'm so, so glad that I did, for sure. So just to wrap things up a bit, I have a lot of friends that are in STEM related field majors, physics, chemistry, biology, they're really having to press hard to get through. So with you being an obvious representation of success out of the STEM field, what are some words that you can say for them? Words of encouragement?
I want folks to know that it's hard because it's supposed to be. So that just means that it's a very difficult course of study. But generations of folks have done it, and so you can do it too. So once you submit to the fact it's going to be a struggle, you struggle a little bit less, right? Because you're not trying, you don't expect it to be anything other than it is. There is something incredibly powerful about peer support. So strong study groups, strong peer mentors, a year or two ahead of you, managing to connect to folks who are in your courses is key to getting through, learning as much as you can. and not, not stressing yourself out too much in the process. And I know it's a bit of a touchy thing, but you really don't get too hung up. I mean, there's enough pressure out there to get good grades.
Right.
But the undergraduate course of study in engineering is really about training your mind on how to think, right? So developing those analytical and critical thinking skills, both in terms of the technical content and the way that you communicate that technical content, is just as important, if probably more important than your actual GPA. Because the folks who really thrive are the folks who are strong in the technical content and can communicate it.
Wow, let me tell y'all, she is dropping some gems. I'm telling y'all, you better get on. She's dropping some gems. Well, Ms. Toll, we unfortunately have to close, but I thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you. Even though I am on the completely opposite side of a STEM student, I still took a lot of the advice that you said tonight. So thank you so much for that.
I appreciate you, Spencer. Have a good evening.
You as well. Bye-bye.
One of the presidents wrote the words, "When the dark clouds gather on the horizon."
Now, if that video does not get you hyped and interested in attending an HBCU, I don't know what will. Florida A&M is one of the schools we're spotlighting tonight because it is in the southeastern part of the United States, and it gave you a lot of information about it. So definitely check it out. Go online, learn about their STEM programs. We're talking about STEM this evening. They wide variety of programs offered at Florida A&M, so definitely go check them out. Next, we have an interview that, actually, before we get into that, sorry about that, we are going to be bringing on Anthony Brown, who is representing the UNCF. If you were paying attention a little bit earlier, you saw our interview with Spencer Jones, who is a student at Dillard University, and Nzinga Toll, who is a graduate of Spelman College. They are both member institutions of the UNCF. So Mr. Brown is going to come bring us some greetings from the UNCF and talk a little bit about the programs they do. And then after that, we're going to have an interview with Clarice Phelps, Tennessee State alumna. Hey, Anthony.
Hello, Leslie. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad that you're in my city right now.
Listen, I am out here in what I guess we used to call it the Chocolate City. I'm going to still call it that, even though it's more Neapolitan now. Oh, did I lose you for a second? Hello?
No, you're still here.
Okay, but I am excited to be here. Listen, I'm not even going to hold you long and your viewers. Listen, I'm excited to be here. I don't even know where you want to start. I can just go. I can start to ramble, or you better ask me some questions. You tell me what you want to do.
So what I need you to do is just tell the people what UNCF is about.
All right, awesome. So the United Negro College Fund, or UNCF for short, is the oldest minority-serving scholarship providing service organization in the country. We started in 1944 by Dr. Frederick Patterson and Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who had this ingenious idea that as African Americans, or at that time, Negro schools, we should work together collectively on a common call to help support our students get to and through the college. So for over 78 years now, we have been doing that with the help of supporting our 37 member institutions, which are the schools that are the HBCUs that are private. However, we support students on scholarship at over 1,100 schools across the country. To date, we've serviced over 500,000 alumni, and currently 60,000 students are benefiting from the resources, scholarships, programs, internships, and the like today.
You finished?
All right, you broke up on me. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I'm still here.
I'm not gonna hear your last question.
No, I asked if you were finished because you called.
Oh yeah, that was the one quick spiel.
Okay.
So what? Actually, I just share with everybody, share with you also. And what brings me to town? What happened to be in Washington D.C. We were actually having our annual UNCF Board of Directors meeting. I get to, I have the distinct pleasure of serving on the UNCF Board of Directors President's Council, as I serve as the president of the National Alumni Council for UNCF. That means I get to represent the alumni and students with the UNCF member presidents with the decisions and policies and scholarship opportunities for our students to get to and through school. I would tell any of our viewers who are watching us right now to go to our website at uncf.org and start a UNCF scholarship application. Doesn't cost you anything. It's open to anyone. Typically, in most cases, the dollars follow the student. So you could go on there and you might find a scholarship that will allow you to go to Howard, to Bethune-Cookman, to Georgetown, to the Ohio State University. But you just got to go on the website and apply. Most of our scholarships are up to 2.5 GPA. That's around a C plus average. That's it.
All right. So that's very helpful information, Anthony. We're glad you're here with us, sharing that information about the UNCF. One of the things I always tell people when they're talking about how can they afford this HBCU education, outside scholarships. So when you have that baby that wants to go to Spelman College, that baby that wants to go to Howard University or Morehouse, and you're trying to figure out how to make it work, without question, go to the UNCF website, look for scholarship opportunities that are available there. I know the vice president for one of your vice presidents at UNCF, Rodriguez Murray, talks about that all the time and how he was able to afford his education at Morehouse with a scholarship through the UNCF. It is possible. You just need to put forth the effort and the research and getting that application submitted. So thank you for joining us. I'm
got to put that work in. Tell the people to put that work in.
Clarice Phelps, who is a scientist, and she's going to talk about her experiences at Tennessee State and working at the Oak Ridge National Lab. Thank you, Anthony. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Leslie. Have a good one.
All right, Clarice, it's great to talk to you again.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm glad you're with us this evening to share your experiences as a scientist and to talk about the work that you're doing. I think, one of the reasons why I'm glad you're here is because, one, you are a trailblazer. And so we're going to talk about that. And then the other, there's those of you, if you want to go ahead and Google her, go ahead and Google Clarice Phelps. You'll start finding out a lot of information about her and the work that she's done. Got a Wikipedia page. And then the other thing is that, we have a lot of young Black women that are interested in STEM fields. And so I am glad that you and Nzinga are on here this evening talking about the career paths you have so that young Black women will know that STEM is for them. Obviously it's not for everyone's not going to pursue that path, but for those who are inclined, we don't want them to think that they are prohibited from doing so, that it's too hard, that it's not for Black women. But you are the example and letting them know that it's something that they can do. So first, just give us an overview of what it is to do. I told you already that I went and I read about it. And because I taught middle school science and computer science, not college level science, it was not completely clear to me everything that you do. So give us the best kindergarten version
Okay.
on what it is that you do.
So basically, what I do is I handle and separate and purify what are called radioisotopes. And so if you remember your periodic table from chemistry class or science class, the bottom two rows at the bottom of your periodic table with the lanthanides and the actinides, those are the radioisotopes that I mainly deal with. And what's difficult about it is that because they, some of them that we're trying to separate are right next to each other on the periodic table, they have similar characteristics, they have similar chemistry almost. And so they're very hard to separate from each other. And so we do those isotope separations as well as different radioisotope separations from each other. And the goal is to purify them for use in other applications.
Okay. So along those lines, tell us, to those who are listening, what makes you a trailblazer in your field?
So there's not a lot of Black women radiochemists. They do exist. So we are out there. And also there's not a lot of Black people associated with the periodic table as far as contributing to the periodic table. We had James Harris, who contributed to elements 104 and 105 that are on the periodic table. And he was the very first Black man. And interestingly enough, he tried to get a job and they offered him the position of a janitor. And he turned it down because he said, I have a degree. Something similar happened to me, but right. I think people thought I was a janitor. But I also went on, like Mr. Harris, to become associated with element discovery on the periodic table for purifying the berkelium-249 that was used as a target material for one of the new elements on the periodic table called tennessine. It's element 117. So James Harris and I share a similar background story, and also the fact that we are the very first African-American man and woman on the periodic table.
So that is absolutely amazing. And so I know that James Harris, I believe he went to Houston-Tillotson. So he's also an HBCU grad, which is great. And I wish when I was teaching middle school science and we were talking about the periodic table, I had known about you and him, because I certainly would have shared that story with my students so that they know that they can contribute to the field of science in a wide variety of ways. So it's great to hear that. I know that you don't have a lot of time with us this evening, but I want to backtrack a little bit to your experience at Tennessee State. So you're at Tennessee State. Tennessee State does have an excellent STEM program. They are one of the HBCUs that have an ABET accredited engineering program, and they are actually doing a lot of research. I think they're an R2 Carnegie classified research institution. So they do a lot of work in STEM. So how did you end up at Tennessee State, and how do you feel that it prepared you for the career that you have now?
So I ended up at Tennessee State because well, my grandmother went to Tennessee State. I had an uncle that also went to Tennessee State, and I'm from Nashville. And so Tennessee State was always the school that was in the back, in my backyard, so to speak. And I would go there annually to the African Street Festival that was there every year. And my mom would take us, around campus. And I was in an engineering program one summer. And so I was used to and familiar with the campus, and I loved it. And so going there was, just a natural progression of what I was going to do as far as like my matriculation through school. And my experience at Tennessee State was like no other. I mean, there's no school like Tennessee State University. So I'll just put that out there. The experience that I had was one of a kind in terms of just being surrounded by excellence and Blackness. And so being able to see other people that looked like you excelling in those spaces was something that was encouraging and definitely prepared me in a way, because of the field that I'm in. There's not a lot of Black people. And so coming from Tennessee State, where I had the confidence and I was prepared to be, confident in my Blackness and confident in my intelligence and my knowledge, that prepared me to deal with being the only Black woman in this field. Well, I won't say in this field, in my experience in this field, for at least 18 years. For, at least 18 years, I was usually the only Black woman in my division. maybe not the only Black one in the department, but I was usually the only one in my division or in the building or in, and sometimes in a division, depending on where I was working. So making sure that I was assertive and eloquently stating my points and my intelligence was something that I definitely learned from Tennessee State University, because that's just what is expected there.
Okay. So one of the things that we've been getting, obviously, from everyone that we've talked to this week is about the confidence that that attending an HBCU instills in you, so that when you leave, you go out into, as Nzinga Toll said, really anywhere you're living is the real world. But the conversation that comes up frequently is that HBCUs don't prepare you for the real world. And clearly what you are showing is that your HBCU experience did prepare you, and it prepared you extremely well. So in that process of getting prepared to graduate and leave and enter the real world once you left Tennessee State University, what were some of your best experiences that you had while you were in college? I know I've told my children, and there was a way that I could like balance out being an adult for real and being in college still. I would love to figure it out.
In hindsight, it was some of the best times of my life. I had some of the best times. Wonderful Wednesdays is when we would all, get dressed up, and we'd have our booths in the student center. There would be music in the courtyard, and I remember this one particular song. It was "Vibrant Thing" by Q-Tip. And I was on my way walking to the student center, and they played it, and I was walking on beat to it. So that just like became like my song. The Greeks strolling in the courtyard. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, so of course we were strolling the yard, and just the amphitheater for the pep rallies, and of course homecoming, the best homecoming period, hands down. You can argue with me later, but homecoming were always just such a good time, and it was just a sense of family and just a good time. Everyone was always just more welcoming and around homecoming, and it was like a big old reunion, and just living in the dorms, you always have your special experience in the dorms, and getting, I didn't have a car when I first got there. And so getting a car and being able to liberate myself when I wanted to, and just having a good time in the CAF and all around campus. Just, there's certain places on campus that you have, fond memories of, and just thinking back to your alma mater, that, that's just that's where my heart is at Tennessee State.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's funny how even with the differences in our colleges, there's still a lot of similarities. You said you all had wonderful Wednesdays. Is that what it was at Tennessee State? I know Florida A&M has set Fridays. I think Tuskegee has Pretty Wednesdays. Southern has something similar. So across our campuses, we have our own unique spin on many of the same traditions that make the years that you're there, whether it's 4 or 5. I know I graduated from Howard in 4 years, but then I stayed for grad school because I wasn't ready to leave yet. And so it makes those experiences.
I was in a rush to leave, and I was like, why was I doing that?
Right, exactly. It makes it so much better. And so when you return to homecoming, I'm fortunate that I still live in Washington, D.C. And so I'm able to go to homecoming every year. And now I take my children with me to homecoming, and my husband's up on the yard hanging, even though he didn't go to Howard as well, but hanging with his fraternity brothers, and then I'm with sorors at the plot, and we're just having a good time. And my children see it, and they're soaking it in, and they hear my stories and hear the stories of other people that attended HBCUs, and they learn what it really means to have attended one. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your success story. And again, everybody listening, go Google her. You will definitely be impressed and learn a lot. And hopefully, you'll be able to figure out a little bit more about what it is that she does. She did give us a pretty good, I think, basic breakdown of what the work that she's doing out there. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with everything that you're doing, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. You guys have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
This is Clark Atlanta University, located in the heart of the city of Atlanta. It's where the bells of historic Harkness Hall rang vibrantly, creating a spirit of hope, pride, and unity. It's where students come to become the nation's top leaders, business professionals, screenwriters, television and movie producers. It's where students get skills to become professional journalists, scientists, researchers, professional musicians, and social workers. It's where academics, culture, and support from faculty encompass the full college experience. Come get some CAU.
Dans le texte, ah ouais. Ah ouais. T'es venu en boîte avec des meufs, on t'a recalé, oh là là. Ni en tactile, ni en T9, zéro smiley, non non non. J'suis pas des leurs, Robert Marley, Bobby. Comme un ever, comme jamais, j'suis dans le J'suis dans le texte.
All right, so before we continue on, we are going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to do our scholarship raffle for the evening. This scholarship is $1,000. It was donated by an anonymous donor, and we're going to do a raffle. And again, same rules apply. If the person is not listening, doesn't call in a certain amount of time, then we're going to pull another name. All right, but this is for $1,000 scholarship. I'm using the same process I used before. I had everyone who registered up until about 5 minutes ago. I have their information. Everyone has an order number. I am using the order number, and that is what's going to tell me who is our winner. So give me 1 second. So I can pull that up. I think I put the wrong list. Hold on. All right, here we go. So I'm taking the list, have everyone's number. Those numbers are being used and they are put into a program. And then that program will select a winner. Takes a second. Taking a little longer than I expected today. Hold on. All right. So I'm going to call out the winning number. I don't expect you to know your number, but I'm going to give you the number anyway. And then from there, I will cross-reference it with the actual, with the person's name who is registered to, and then give you that name. And if that's you, you're going to have to send me an email. So this is your number. You need to send me an email. So the number is 2929177 259. Okay. And that number belongs to Wanda Dorsey Jenkins, who lives in Maryland. So Wanda, if you are listening, you need to send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. Wanda, if you are listening, you need to send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. All right, so before we get into our next interview, we are going to spotlight a scientist, another HBCU scientist. So we're spotlighting some of our HBCU legends throughout the week. We have living legends, of course, on our show tonight, but we're going to spotlight a few other HBCU legends along the way. So right now we are going to spotlight Tuskegee University alumnus Lonnie Johnson. So Lonnie Johnson is known for inventing the super soaker. However, his work goes far beyond that. He's conducted research for NASA, research for the Air Force, and he works on green energy projects. He holds over 250 patents. And so that's really, again, most of us know about him because of the super soaker, but he's really done a lot more than the super soaker. So now we are going to move into an interview between Dr. Caleb Wilson and Katie Smith, who is a student at Lawson State Community College. They'll be up right after our commercial.
Florida Memorial has been around for 142 years, providing access to a quality education to so many deserving students. You're going to be in South Florida where the world vacations.
Miami is different from back at home. There are so many things to get involved in. You have excellent beaches here.
It's a beautiful place to be, beautiful campus.
It's an excellent, excellent choice. You not only will be making a legacy here by coming here, but you will make a footprint. Your footprint will also be in this legacy, so why not be a part of something that's growing?
We say welcome to Florida Memorial University.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Dr. Wilson?
I can.
You can hear me? Okay. Good evening, Dr. Wilson. First off, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to share your experiences at your HBCU and your accomplishments that you got out of your HBCU with me and everyone else watching this live stream. So first, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and put yourself into the spotlight and let us know what HBCU you went to and what degree you got and some of your biggest accomplishments.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. So I am a Alcorn State University in Mississippi. I graduated with a bachelor's in biology from Alcorn quite a bit a while ago. And think about it. But some of the accomplishments, I would say, graduating with honors, getting into graduate school, becoming one of the first members of my family to graduate college, as well as go into a STEM field. So like a lot of firsts and excellent opportunities.
Wow, that's amazing. I love when I hear people tell how they're the first person out of their family to go to college, or one of the first people. So I really commend you for that. I want to jump into my first question, going along with your decision to pick your HBCU. What do you think makes your HBCU special and unique from others, and what are some of your favorite memories?
What makes it unique? I mean, there's the Alcorn spirit, as we would, as we would call it on the yard. Um, but it was for me to have gone to Alcorn and have this wonderful experience where I basically felt like I was at it was a family reunion the entire time I was there. So everybody was to see people across the yard, and everybody was like, got to know each other. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
What are some of your favorite memories?
Yeah, so those were it, right? Things that stand out actually sound, but like sitting in class, sitting in those STEM classes and having a lot of conversations with my classmates and the professors. We had like a healthy competition, right? So at times we would, we're working to see who could get the highest grade, which actually motivated us all to do well.
Wow. Well, I don't think it's nerdy that you said that, because I'm also that kind of student. I think sitting in class is, obviously the most beneficial part of going to your university is going to class. So I think that being in class just with your peers and, with teachers that you really enjoy, can be one of the best parts, one of the best memories of your time in college. Going into your career choice, at the time that you were in college, what advice do you have for any upcoming or current college students who have the same career interests?
So yeah, we have all the classic things, right? Great, try to get as great as grades as possible. Expand your horizon, be active on campus and a lot of student organizations, and taking up leadership opportunities. But one of the things that I try to do, and a lot of other Alcorn STEM, HBCU STEM alumni, period, is we try to be mentors. And so one of the things that upcoming students do, as well as current students, is, use your social media platforms to reach out to us. For those of us who you're not in contact with, like, so for example, I try to stay engaged with the campus, but sometimes that's a little bit difficult because of schedules and stuff. There's quite a few of us out there, and we can help mentor you and help you as you're making those decisions, and understand, think about career paths, and help you put your plan in place to get to where you want to go.
Well, I definitely agree with that, Dr. Wilson. I think that, when people say make connections, it's one of the biggest things that can um, lead to your success in college. Personally, a lot of the connections I made, if it wasn't for them, then, I wouldn't be where I am in college. And I'm sure the same thing applied for you when you were in college. Transitioning from your
It did.
college self to your now successful and established self, what is your career everything you thought it would be?
It is. So interesting thing, like, as opportunities come up, you tend to shift a little bit. So, for example, I shifted away from doing strictly bench research, biomedical. So I'm trained in immunotherapy. So it's basically, I know how to teach T cells, how to cure cancer, HIV, etc. So I've shifted a little bit away from that, but it's been awesome. It's been an interesting thing, and I'm actually amazed all the time. I think one of the earliest things that I remember when I first did an experiment that actually worked, I literally like was skipping around like a kid who just got a gift, and every day I look around and I'm like, I get paid to learn science. I get paid to help people do science, and it's an awesome thing to have, be able to take something that you love to do and work it into a career.
Wow, that's really good. Considering how hard the field that you're in and how hard it is to get there, whenever times got tough, what were the things that you used to get through? What kept you motivated, and what kept you pushing?
Yes. So I am definitely a Mississippi boy at heart, right? So listening to some blues, faith, and and keeping in touch with my family and thinking about the things that they did, that the sacrifices they made to help me move along the path that I got to. A lot of things they did when I was a kid. And this is not just my parents. This is grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and thinking about I had the opportunity to basically be elders the entire time, and they put a lot of faith and confidence in me. So I should always thought I have faith and confidence in myself and make sure I get things done.
What are some of your proudest accomplishments?
So it goes back to like earlier in the conversation. I think getting into grad school, graduating with honors from Alcorn, some of these career things, having the opportunity to happen to get into a field that was, so while I was doing my postdoc, there was actually a successful clinical trial. And from that clinical trial developed into like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I happened to was interested in doing that type of science. And now I have a skill set and expertise that's in high demand. So it's a serendipity, but it's those are all outstanding accomplishments for me. And an interesting thing is also getting to a point where I can consistently give back to Alcorn. So I spend for example, one of the things I do is I have like a Alcorn 365. So it's every year I'm going to give $365. So like at least I'm going to have $1 per day. And most of the time I've been lucky enough to be able to give a bit more than that per year. So that's one thing I would encourage young people to do as well. Start giving back early, and you get in the habit of doing it. It's actually easy to continue doing that.
Wow, that's really amazing that you're able to do that even after you moved on from your university and things like that. Could you give me a description, or what do you think that what your purpose in the world is with your career title that you have right now?
So it's building relationships. So what I'm doing now is I look forward to working with people and try to understand their science, but also with the company I work for, and think about how the science that we have and the technology we have can enable it. So one of the things that I went on is medicine was of interest to me. And so I learned that, scientists are doing a lot of this work and figuring out how to develop medicines and therapies. And so I'm actually doing that. So each day I go out and I try to make sure that I'm contributing to making sure that some patient somewhere has the ability to be treated, and their family has them to for a little bit longer, and able to enjoy each other.
Wow. Well, I thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. You saying that definitely lets me know, and I'm sure it lets everyone else know who's watching the live stream, that your work does impact the world. And I think it's great that you're going to continue on with it. And I like how you interpreted the healthcare field, because, just based off of hearing your career title, a lot of people wouldn't assume or know that your career title does impact the healthcare field. So I think that's really, really awesome. And I appreciate your time so much this evening. I think that's all the time that we have, but your words were very encouraging. And I hope that anybody who has the same career interests as you, that this really helps them.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you both for that. And so for those of you who are on social media, you go on Twitter, you type in, "Hey, Dr. Wilson," you'll find him on there, and you can follow him on Twitter and learn more about what he's up to, and engage with him and learn more about the science field, the work that's being done, the different opportunities that are available out there. Thank you both.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That your military career is over, what are you going to do? The answer's in your hand at HamptonU.online. Hampton University Online gives you the flexibility to earn your degree anytime, anywhere. Just select the type of degree, choose your area of study, and submit your application at hamptonu.online. Start your future today. Military discounts available. Apply now at hamptonu.online.
This is the story of Morris Brown College. Some outstanding black folks founded Morris Brown back in 1881. The first and only HBCU founded, owned, and operated by black people in all of Georgia. This is where Pulitzer Prize winners hit the books, where jazz legends developed their sound, where civil rights leaders spearheaded change. These are the halls where some of the greatest minds in business, science, and the arts marched. But every great story has conflict. And I ain't finna lie, this school went through it. But see, the thing is, every great story has a hero too. This is one of them. And this is another. And her, and him, and them, and you. Together, we're bringing back Morris Brown College, bringing back financial aid, bringing back a history of black excellence. Morris Brown College, a new beginning in black academia.
All right, so we're going to go, before we get into our last interview of the evening, we are going to do another raffle. The last person called did not respond in time, so now we're going to do another one. So I'm going to pull another number. The number selected is 906556899. Then I'll find out who that belongs to. That number belongs to Nyla Slater from New York. So Nyla Slater from New York, if you are listening, you need to send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. Again, Nyla, send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. All right, so we're going to go into our last interview. We're bringing Katie back. Katie is going to be interviewing Virginia Union University alumna Shanta Whitaker, Dr. Shanta Whitaker.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I just want to make sure. Good evening, Dr. Whitaker. It's so nice to talk to you again and finally actually, see who you are. I just want to say thank you also to you for taking time out of your evening, anything that you had to do today to just come and share your experiences with me and everybody else watching the live stream. So I'll let you start off by giving us a rundown about your experiences at your HBCU and a brief review of your accomplishments.
Sure. So Virginia Union University is a small campus. I like to joke that you can see one end of the campus to the other end, but it is a mighty campus. And some of my greatest memories have been those 4 years that I spent in those dear hallowed walls. Virginia Union was, for me, the first time I ever had a Slurpee. It was also the first time I ever lived in a city. And also just like I've met some really wonderful people there and really had a nurturing environment, which honestly set me up for success as I've continued on in my career. I was a biology major undergrad and a chemistry minor. I joined this program called the Minority Access to Research Careers program in my junior year, and that got me prepared for pursuing a PhD after undergrad. It was wonderful. It gave me additional research experience. I had a wonderful advisor, Dr. Anthony Madu, who is still supportive to me to this day. We still keep in contact. And I joined a wonderful sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as well as just met a group of wonderful people that some of them I met from other schools, including Howard, who ended up at Yale with me, where I did my PhD. And as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, I went directly from undergrad to a PhD, got my PhD at Yale, and then did a postdoctoral fellowship at the North Carolina State Public Health Laboratory. Then after that, I worked at Yale College for a few years and then did a master's of public health at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. My background is microbiology. I'm trained in infectious disease. Specifically, I'm a specialized form of microbiologist called a parasitologist. I focused on parasites, which microbiologists tend to be either in the bacterial or viral lens of things. But I did get into some bacterial diseases when I was doing my postdoctoral fellowship.
Wow, I'm just as surprised and shocked and amazed at everything you just said as the first time you told me when we had our phone call prior to the interview tonight. So I want to commend you for all your accomplishments, and it is super, super inspiring, and just it's like a breath of fresh air, especially for like a college student like me or any other college student, just to hear that, you know, like all of those things that you've done and other successful people have done, that it is possible. Because, you know, I think a lot of times when you're about to go into college or you're in college and you're not finished yet, everything just seems so impossible sometimes. But when you hear it from, you know, other Black faces and stuff, it's like, oh, well, that it is possible and I can do that one day. I did want to ask you, did you always know that you wanted to be a scientist, or was it something that you kind of developed an interest into?
So when I was a senior in high school, I actually thought I was going to be a lawyer. I love to argue. I loved history. I still really love history a lot. However, we had a choice at my high school to either take a physics class or to take AP biology. And I chose the science class based off of the trip. So each of the classes were associated with the trip. So for physics, you went to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. And for AP biology, you went to Virginia Beach. And I chose Virginia Beach. And that class ended up being transformational for me. The teacher, Miss Karen Fisher, was amazing. She made biology fun. I studied my butt off, and literally in that class in my senior year, I switched from wanting to go and be a lawyer to wanting to pursue biology. And I thought I wanted to be a medical doctor initially, but that changed during my sophomore year of college. But yes, I was on that science track from my senior year of high school.
Wow, that's crazy, because when I was in high school, we didn't go to a beach for our class, but we had to pick between the two same classes, and I chose physics. And seeing where you are, I kind of wish I would have chose AP. But you know, that's really good that you said that, because I think that a lot of people need to know that in high school, it's not, you know, you should take it just as seriously as college, I think, because, you know, if you don't, then you get kind of lost when you're in college. And it's okay not to know like what you want to be or what you want to do when you're in college. But if you really get a grip on what you're interested in high school towards your end years, then that really kind of helps set your track, you know, for your future. I do want to ask, what kind of advice would you give any young brown and Black girls who have the same interests as you?
I would say that you don't always have to be the smartest person. Like, I think sometimes we get caught up in like, oh man, this person's so intelligent, or this person, you know, knows XYZ or has this connection. I honestly believe that I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I do work hard. I do apply myself. If I don't know something, I am comfortable with asking those questions. I don't care about looking stupid. I want to be a better person. And so I've always sought out knowledge. I've always sought out how to understand stuff. And I think that's helped me. And I think just being a hardworking person, people see that and they'll help you as you're trying to get along your path. I don't think that I was one of those fortunate people when I was growing up that had a whole bunch of exposure to a whole bunch of different degrees. So, and, different things to do. I only knew about, going to law school or going to, becoming a doctor. Those are the only two paths I knew. So I was just very thankful that, the paths and, whether you're religious or not, like for me, faith was important. So I feel like doors opened up for me as I continue to be hardworking. And I feel like the path that I was supposed to be on opened up for me. And don't get discouraged. I feel like there are people there that honestly want to help you, especially if you're wanting to help yourself and wanting to work hard. So just know you can do it and don't be afraid to try new things. Like I've never had a set path after I decided I wanted to go to medical school. I never had a set path for myself. I've kind of let the doors just kind of fall as they may. And so that's why I'm in health policy now, because I didn't necessarily feel like I had to be on one set path. I think that Elijah Cummings, actually, Representative Elijah Cummings came and spoke to my Johns Hopkins class. And he said to us, let your passion fuel your purpose. And so I've kind of kept that in my mind ever since then. I've always think about like, am I really passionate about what am I doing? What I'm doing. Am I really doing something that I feel like I'm called to do? And I try to assess that because it's something that you should pursue. I think we only have one life to live, so you should be happy. I think we already have enough issues as it is as as Black women. Why not pursue the things that make us happy? So I really strive to work hard and pursue the things that make me happy.
Wow. I'm so glad you said that, especially about not being feeling like you're stupid or like, like you always have to have the right answer and things like that. Because I feel like a lot of young college students who do go into rigorous programs, such as myself, like with nursing and things like that, once you go in, you think, oh, I don't need to open my mouth unless I know the answer, or I don't need to ask a question because I don't want to feel stupid or a certain type of way. But really, those stupid questions can teach you a lot more in the long run. Instead of asking what are your proudest accomplishments out of college, so far in your career, what would you say is your proudest accomplishment?
I honestly probably feel that anytime that I succeed in something that I hadn't thought I could succeed is an accomplishment. But I will say my PhD, like I think of my finishing my PhD as like my wedding day. It was like, if to me, it felt like a wedding. It felt like my family came there to celebrate me. It was all these years of continuous education because I went to school literally from preschool to that PhD without a break. So getting my degree, getting my PhD at 28, and writing a dissertation, a document that was like over 100 pages, to me made me feel like I was, I did something after all that time. Yeah. And after all that time of doubting myself and having imposter syndrome and dealing with that, I feel like that is something that someone can't take away from me. Being able to be called doctor is something that no one can take away from me. And that would never change, regardless of my marital status, regardless of, who I know, where I go, where my career takes me. That for me was something. But I don't think it's going to be my only accomplishment. I think I have plenty to go and I continue to strive to, pursue excellence.
Wow, Dr. Whitaker. I've said it so many times between the last time we talked, and I'll say it again. That is just so inspiring to me, and I'm sure to many other people. I just don't even have enough words to explain how, just you sharing your experiences really does impact a person like me and other young Black students of our way of thinking and things like that. So I really want to say thank you for all of your time tonight and, sharing all of your accomplishments with us. And I know you're going to continue on to do great things. So I just want to thank you so much. And it was great talking to you and getting to know you.
Of course. Thank you for interviewing me. And I look forward to staying in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Well, thank you both. I certainly took in a lot while I was listening to you. Aside from the fact that, and I'm going to point this out in a moment, we share the same sorority and same as and Zingatal. So it's great to see Black women in STEM, and of course my sorors in STEM. So that's wonderful. But there was a couple of things that I hope people paid attention to, and anyone who watches this later on notices. One is that you started at a small HBCU, but then you continued on and you got your doctorate. You went to graduate school at an Ivy League college. And then, of course, you also did postdoc work at Johns Hopkins, which is well known for its science program. It's one of the top ranked science programs in the country. And so knowing that you can get a foundation at an HBCU and then continue on to wherever you want to go, can even the schools that are considered the top ranked colleges in the nation, it's possible. And the HBCU experience prepares you for that journey so that you can continue on. I hope people take that in and they understand that and realize, the 4 or 5 years that you spend on that HBCU campus, that's going to be all that you have in many cases, where you're surrounded in that environment. And so you need to take advantage of it, because once you graduate and you move on, that's it. That's it. Many of us are going to leave, you leave your college experience to an environment that is predominantly one that just like you. So having that foundation, that network, and that nurturing environment is extremely beneficial. The other thing is that you mentioned how you want to make sure you're doing work that makes you happy. There's a quote that I have that's now my mantra. It was the Reverend Dr. Katie Cannon, who is an alumna of Barber Scotia, and then I think she went to ITC as well. She was the first Black woman to be ordained in the Presbyterian Church. And she has a quote where she says, "Do the work your soul must have." And so that is one of the things that I am trying to live by now. Do the work your soul must have, because if you're not, then you're not making yourself happy. And I don't believe you're really doing what you were created to do. So that's the thing that we're working on. So thank you so much for your time, Dr. Whitaker. Thank you, Katie, for handling 2 interviews in one night. I really appreciate it. We're going to close out now. I'm going to highlight a couple more schools. I do want to say that we did get a check-in from Nyla about the scholarship. So Nyla is being awarded a $1,000 scholarship from an anonymous donor. And we have one more scholarship to give away tomorrow evening.
Ready for the next level.
So, you're thinking about taking online college courses? Then look no further than NCCU Online. NCCU Online offers 10 undergraduate and graduate degree programs. We also offer 175 individual online courses. By utilizing the Quality Matters rubric as a university standard for online course design, we ensure consistency across the curriculum. This design standard guarantees that you will be properly oriented to each course via an organized course introduction section, So now that you realize online education at NCCU is the perfect fit for you, be sure to log on to www.nccu.edu/NCCU online today. Make sure you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at NCCU Online. See you soon.
Closing out with our final spotlight of the evening, HBCU legend in science, Katherine Johnson, who many of us now know as one of the women featured in Hidden Figures. Katherine Johnson was a graduate of West Virginia State University and one of the first African-American women to work at NASA as a scientist. Her calculations were critical in helping men orbit the Earth and land on the moon. Katherine Johnson, I should also note, was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. I look forward to checking in with you all tomorrow when we talk to HBCU alumni who are working in the fields of law and government. We are also going to be highlighting HBCU community colleges. Check in tomorrow. Remember, we have another scholarship to give away. It is specific to students who are definitely going to an HBCU next year or who are already enrolled in an HBCU. Have a great evening.